Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering how you can turn $1,000 into $100,000 trading on BloFin, utilising a couple of simple but very effective trading strategies and techniques. Obviously we're going to be covering Stonksy, but just general topics and things that you can implement into your trading to take it to the next level. So obviously the first thing we're going to be covering is Stonksy. If you don't know what Stonksy is an all-in-one trading indicator that we provide. It identifies long and short indications in the market. Also, it maps out support and resistance for you, and also identifies momentum with the line. So yeah, we're going to be covering obviously Stonksy, which you can get for just £145 per month, or you can sign up for the annual or lifetime option as well, and you can pay for any of these in crypto, which the link will be in the description to sign up if you're not already and you like what you see today. So yeah, the first is obviously Stonksy, which has green backgrounds and red backgrounds to indicate long and short opportunity in the market. As you can see, this example here, Stonksy went green today and rode the trend up. And currently we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off not too long after the US market opened, which is perfectly normal. Now this particular example is on the 5-minute chart, but if we scale down to the 1 minute, you will be able to see opportunities for scalping. And we can scale back and have a look, and you can see all throughout the day there's opportunities to scalp with Stonksy. Now the other thing that we need to look at is obviously support and resistance. These are indicated by the red and green lines, and each line means a different thing, which if you want to, you can find out on another video, which I will also drop the link in the description. But yeah, essentially Stonksy is one method that you can use to just make your life a little easier, instead of being on your own and looking, for opportunities in the market or when to enter and exit trades. You can let Stonksy do the hard work for you and let it tell you, this is a good opportunity, take this. This is a bad opportunity. So, for instance, like when the background is non-existent, Stonksy's not seeing anything. So yeah, that's obviously one, and the one that we would recommend as providing Stonksy is that you go and get Stonksy and implement it into your trading. There's plenty of examples on how it works. We post them on our X page every single day. And also, there's a full catalogue of YouTube content that you can watch after this video if you just head over to the channel if you're not already subscribed. So yeah, obviously Stonksy is one option. The others is things like trailing stop losses and risk management. So that's what we'll cover next, is things outside of the indicator that you can implement into your trading to, manage your risk better, or, work on compounding. And that's something else that we're going to cover as well. So yes, one technique you can use is a trailing stop. Now, what is a trailing stop? It is a modification of a typical stop order that can be set at a defined percentage or dollar amount away from a security's current market price. So that basically means you can set it on, your crypto trades. When you're trading on BloFin, you can set a trailing stop. Now, what's like the advantages of a trailing stop compared to a normal stop? Well, it's designed to protect gains by enabling a trade to remain open and continue to profit as long as the price is moving in the investor's favour. So say if you've got a long open, the idea is that if, while the long continues, your stop will carry on trailing it and following the price upwards and continuing to trim off profits. So a trailing stop is typically placed at the same time the initial trade is placed, although it may be placed after the trade. So yeah, if you've got a trade open, you can add a trailing stop whenever. You might have like a normal stop open, but yeah, you can add a trailing stop. And one of the key takeaways, it's an order type that is designed to lock in profits or limit losses as a trade moves favourably. Trailing stops only move if the price moves favourably. Once it moves to lock in the profit or reduce a loss, it does not move back in the other direction. So what does this translate to in terms of Bitcoin, perhaps? If you've got, say, this short on, say you was catching this short, and you added a trailing stop, obviously it's all the move down. Once the move starts to go back up, the stop loss, then the trailing stop will not start moving the other direction back towards your entry. A trailing stop is a stop order that has additional option of being a limit order or a market order as well. So you'll be able to set that in BloFin. And one of the most important considerations for trailing stop is whether it will be a percentage or fixed dollar amount and by how much it would trail the price. So these can be set inside the BloFin interface. And what does that mean in terms of Stonksy? Well, if we head over to Stonksy, as you can see at the time I'm filming this yesterday, it went red on the 5 minute as Bitcoin was up at just under $107,000 and it caught the drop down. So what would this translate to? So say you'd shorted this when Stonksy went red and the price was moving down. Say you got to about here or here and you added a trailing stop and the price kept pushing down here. The stop would carry on following price downward, and now we've looked like we're getting sort of a base here. So if the price starts pushing back up towards 105,000, 106,000, the trailing stop will not then revert back towards the entry, and at some point it will, if it reaches it will close the order. So that's how it can be translated into Bitcoin, and this can be applied to any time frame as well. So for instance, on the 1 minute, if he was catching these brilliant moves that Stonksy catches, as you can see, these are quick scalps and very profitable with these types of moves. For instance, here you could add it onto a short scalp like this, a low time frame scalp in any direction. So that is trailing stop loss. So another technique that you can use is just aiming to make a small amount a day, say 1% of your trading capital that you have in your account, and then think as though it's a marathon instead of a sprint. So a lot of people, they chase the big P&L, the big figures. But one tactic is to approach it as, this is a more long-winded approach, maybe a couple of months, 6 months, a year even. And that can quickly turn into a lot of money. So for instance, if you take the 1 minute chart on Bitcoin, you can easily capture a couple moves a day if you don't have time to even sit at the charts all day. If you have time to sit at the charts, there is loads of examples. If you go through the Stonksy chart on the 1 minute time frame on Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, maybe some high volatility, large cap. You can find these examples every single day of, quick moves that you can catch to make it quick. Maybe you don't make 1% on each trade. Maybe you do, 3 trades that add up to 1%, 4 trades, whatever it is. And that can add up to a lot. So it's one good technique to use is, adopting it as, it's a longer term approach. I'm not looking to, take $1,000, go 50x in, and if it blow up the account, I blow up the account. No, I'm going to take $1,000 and I'm going to approach it with, the idea that this is going to take me a year, perhaps. But with the power of, compounding, an extremely powerful tool, it can quickly turn into a lot of money. So let me just give you an example. So if we take $1,000 and you have 365 days, obviously in the year, and you gain 1% per period, that means per day. So if you were just doing 1% a day, that $1,000 turns into $37,783. So you get just under a 38x if you're doing 1% a day. So say, maybe you do 1.5% a day. That turns into $229,000. And as you can see, if we scroll down, you're making, that day's $15, that day's $15. But as your account grows, you're making a little bit more every time. Now, for instance, say if you wanted to do 3% a day, then, that figure turns pretty wild. And, the higher that you get up, obviously you'd be paying more fees to have trades like, this open, that much margin in a trade. You would be getting, slapped on fees a lot more than you will be if you, when you're at the lower amounts. So that's, that's a massive number. That's a massive number. But, if you take $100 and, you do the same, obviously it's the same calculation. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, it's a simple 100x no matter what you're trying to do, whether it be $100 to $10,000, $1,000 to $100,000 and so on. Now, if you wanted to do 1,000 and you wanted to even take it even slower, say you wanted to do 1% a day, but maybe you thought, well, I've only got roughly, maybe once every 2 days, or maybe you don't want to pressure yourself into trading every day. You could still turn $1,000 into 6,000 by doing 1% every other day. And then obviously if you maybe aim for 1.5% every other day, so on and so on. But if you can do 1% a day, which again, we'll show some examples of how you can achieve this, and you can do 1% a day, that turns into that. So exactly how much percentage would you need to do the 100,000 from 1,000? You would need roughly 1.25%, give or take a very small amount. 1.27% every day to achieve the $100,000. And that is just the power of compounding. As you can see, as we scroll down, you're making a little amount at first, but as the margin in the account gets bigger, we're at the halfway point here. So at the halfway point, you've done a 10x. You've done a 10x in 6 months. And then as you can see, then you're playing with bigger numbers then. So then that 10x then quickly 10x's again to reach your final figure of $100,000. Now we'll have a look at some, some examples of how you can do this, but this is all using, the power of compounding, and you can use Stonksy to help you with this every single day. And make sure that you are trading on BloFin again. The link will be in the description of this video. It's the best place to trade, best place to store your funds. It's the all-round exchange for everything crypto. Okay, so now it's a case of how you actually put these implementations into action and actually trade with Stonksy, with all the other things, that you've learned, and actually put them into placing a trade and actually earning money from it to, grow your account. So as we can see here, I've got a live pulled up that I did 2 days ago at the time of recording. If you aren't joining my live streams every single day, do make sure that you hop over to the channel and click the notification bell and follow us on the X account, where I post when I go live every single day. But yes, so on live stream, I've started doing some live trades to show examples of how Stonksy works and just to make the live streams more interesting. So on this particular occasion, 2 days ago, I was explaining how Solana I thought was looking good for a bounce. Stonksy had caught the drop in the red, but I was also explaining that it had a major support line drawn here. This was on the 1 hour chart, and resistance up here. So on the live stream, I was saying I think it's not a bad place, even though while Stonksy is in the red on the 1 hour, it might not be a bad place to punt long and try and maybe potentially front run the colour change into green. So if we go over to a slightly different time frame now, we can see that I am going through putting on the trade. So I was using 3x leverage, isolated, and I'd pulled out the resistance level that you'd just seen, which was 234, and I was going to use the support level just below that. I'll show you now. So this support level here, so it had major support drawn here on Stonksy, and we had this little faint one, which is one of the other support levels drawn at 203. So I was going to use that to help me to base my theory that Solana could be in with a bounce. So as you can see here, I put 234 in as my take profit, and just in a second I will put my stop loss at 200 right below the bottom support level. So I was using Stonksy to build out my theory that it had caught the drop down in the red, and it had identified some key support on the 1 hour with some minor support just below as well. So on stream I'm explaining where I'm putting each thing for maybe anyone who's new to futures trading, or just explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is the outcome for take profit and stop loss. As you can see, I'm just using a small account, which I do on stream. It's mostly just for educational purposes and just to make the stream more interesting. And I was running through actually opening the trade. Here I was explaining why I'm putting the stop loss below there, because I was putting it below the support level. And as you can see there, I opened the trade. So this was all live on stream, and you can come over to the live streams and join me every single day for content like this. So if we skip now to the next day, I'd pulled up, obviously this was the stream the day after. So at the time of recording, this was 1 day ago, so the following stream. Now as you can see, just slightly, you can't see because it's slightly cut off by the prices going along the bottom, but I was roughly 5% up when I'd first shown everyone the update on the trade. As you can see, this is where I entered, and Solana had dipped below slightly, but hadn't come anywhere near my stop loss at the moment. So it had respected the support level, and my take profit was up here. So this is where we was. So yeah, skipping on a little bit more, as you can see, not too long after I was 6.3% up, and this was just in 1 day. So this wasn't a scalp, this was more of a day trade. But as I explained earlier in the video, the power of compounding. If you're aiming to do 1% a day, potentially I've done 6 days of compounding there because I've gained 6%. And if we skip it on a little bit more, we'll be able to see the change in price action as I was live on stream. So at this point in stream, I was 10% up. I was 10% up on the position. As you can see, Solana was pushing up towards my take profit. And at this point, this is where you could potentially introduce the trailing stop that we discussed earlier in the video. And if I just skip to a final bit as an example, as you can see here, I was 11.5% up on this trade. And that was just in a 24-hour period. So I'd opened it the day before, gone through it live on stream, why I opened it, and within 1 day, I was 11% up. Obviously, this was only on a $100 account, but potentially if you're looking to do that $1,000 to $100,000, as the title of the video is, you would you'd be up $100 then. So you'd already be up 10% of the way from the starting point, and that's how easy it is just to use Stonksy to build your theory around. As seen at the start of the video, I've shown examples of how good the colour change can be every single day, and including on higher time frames as well. So scalps, days, trades that are a couple of days, weeks potentially. But also how you can just use the automated SR lines to build Ethereum around too. So that was a trade live on stream, and I'm going to show you another one right now. So if we take a look at another example that I traded live on stream, this was yesterday at the time of recording, as you can see, 22 hours ago when I was streaming. And I am doing longer streams now, so yeah, do make sure that you come and join me for those. But this was just after US Open. So when the US market opened, Bitcoin was taking a dip, and I was explaining to the chat that how, you know, the first move on the US Open has proven to be most of the time, you know, a false move, and then we get a move in the other direction a lot of the time afterwards. So I was toying with longing this while this was going on. But obviously, again, you know, we're on the 1 minute chart now, so on a super low time frame, and this is obviously one of the time frames that Stonksy performs at its peak in terms of scalping. As you can see here to the left, it caught all that move down in the red. But again, this was another situation where I thought, you know, given that, you know, we're at US Open, we've had a move down straight off, is there going to be a potential reversal coming? So I was trying to front run the green change again, but you don't want to do that blindly. So what I did was I used, again, the support lines drew by Stonksy here and here that you can see. So I was going to use them as my guide. I was going to use them as, you know, my line in the sand for where the trade is wrong if the price continued lower and the red background continued, obviously, with it. So that's what I did. I was discussing that live on stream. I was saying I think, you know, this might be an opportunity to, you know, try and play the reversal on the low time frame, get a quick scalp to the upside in. So if we skip slightly ahead, I will go and open a trade that you'll see. But I was discussing, you know, I think there's a potential reversal coming, and I was going to use the bottom support line drew by Stonksy as my stop loss, so that I couldn't get caught off guard pretty much. I knew if it dropped below there, then the trade's wrong, and the idea of, you know, catching the reversal before it was indicated due to the volatility on US Open was wrong. So as you can see here, I put my stop loss there, 103,600, and I opened the trade live on stream. There we go, there it is open. So I did that, and we were just watching it while, you know, the end of the stream was happening, and we got to sort of this point. This was on the 10-minute chart that I was looking at as well, because Stonksy had caught a big move down on the 10 minutes. But I skipped back to the 1 minute, and we was getting a bounce like I expected. So within a couple of minutes, I was 0.42% up on this trade, which is superb given, you know, it was a matter of minutes. And, you know, if you're targeting 1% of the day, that's already halfway there within a couple of minutes to the daily target. And it was going up and down. It was because obviously it's on the 1 minute chart. You know, the slight swings can affect the trade when you're just looking for a small amount of profitability. But again, there we go. So I'm up to 0.55% now. And then, like I explained before, I was trying to front run the colour change to green, which then Stonksy did change to green, which then gave me more confidence in the trade that it was, you know, a good decision to try and use the SR lines as my guide for the front run of the colour change due to the volatility on US Open. And we'll watch as the trade develops, because I am playing this on 2x speed, so it will go quite quickly. And we'll watch the candle formations as well. And yeah, the streams are great, so you definitely should come and join them. But this is, you know, a perfect example of how you can make, you know, just 1% a day, 2% a day, 3% a day in a very short amount of time as well if you are scalping. As you can see here, I was up to 0.72%, 0.8 at that point, and we was getting a push up on the green background, so I was at 0.84 there, and Bitcoin was pushing back up after dropping back down on US Open, and it was toying with crossing that 1% mark that I was looking for, close the trade, but eventually we did end up getting it, and I did end up closing the trade above 1%. So we got 1.25% there, which again, you know, perfectly happy with that. That is the target. And there we go. I closed the trade live on stream. And I went through that, discussed it all prior to opening the trade. And then obviously, you know, as the trade was occurring, and then explained why I was closing it, because I'd hit my target. I'd hit, you know, 1%. I'd hit above 1%. You know, I'd hit a surplus of the target. But yeah, that's easily done. And as you can see, you know, there's evidence there for why Stonksy is superb for when you're trading, you know, the colour change on various different time frames. But also when you're looking for that reversal and trying to front run it in times of volatility, and you can use the SR lines as a perfect guide for, you know, when you're managing your risk. So you can use it to place stop losses and take profits, so you know that you're all safe in the trade, and if it's wrong, so be it. So that's everything for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Do make sure you drop a like and subscribe. But that's all for this time, and I'll catch you on the next video.